Hey everyone, welcome to another Board of Trustees summary and video update. I'm going to go through our last board meetings pretty quickly. I want to get into a few issues in a little more detail before I head off for Thanksgiving break. Again, you can always look at the full minutes and full videos of our meetings at southorange.org. In our special meeting on November 14th, we discussed, had a couple announcements and then a few presentations, one from Seton Hall and the Community Coalition on Race. We had our first of two hearings for the Community Development Block Grant Program. We also had two ordinances up, a bond ordinance on second reading, which we passed, and our salary ordinance on first reading, which we did not pass. And we had various resolutions on our consent agenda, which as always I'll scroll through the screen that you can see. And we had a resolution for separate action, which was a resolution requesting that the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities conduct an investigation of information management by Public Service, Gas, and Electric, and making certain recommendations in that regard. This is basically after our experiences with the storm, asking the state to investigate what happened in a little bit more detail, and I will get those details in a moment when I get to them. We moved on to our conference agenda, again, for the full discussion, I would really suggest you check out the video or the official record of the minutes when they do come out. We did talk about the RFEI for Village Hall, which is basically looking at is there a commercial use and how do we finance this building, and it really seemed as though there was no consensus that we could use Village Hall for something other than Village Hall, which I think is great to keep Village Hall as the historic building that it is and keep it functioning as our municipal building in South Orange. We talked about our relocation, we talked about RFPs for a redevelopment attorney, and we talked about the Special Improvement District Advisory Committee report, and we're going to put together an ordinance to work off of that would establish a Special Improvement District and figure out from there whether this is something we want to do or not. I've had some interesting conversations with people from chambers of commerces across the state, down at the League of Municipalities, and some very interesting stories and experiences that I've heard from them about how best to manage downtown. We also talked about our agenda process and meeting process in our conference agenda. Talked about maybe ways of doing it a little bit more efficiently. We need to get the agendas figured out much more ahead of time and make sure that people have the information and are prepared before the meetings. We're also going to talk about switching up the meetings a little bit so that instead of having a conference meeting and a regular meeting, we can have discussion and action in both meetings each month. That would allow us to maybe move things through a little bit quicker. We don't have to wait a month to discuss an item or vote on it. Again, this is really just, that's a very quick update. Really encourage you to check out the website for a full summary, because there are a couple of issues that I wanted to get into in more detail that I want to make sure that there's information about. One is about storm cleanup, kind of an update here. So far, our Department of Public Works has collected 40,000 cubic yards of debris. To give you some perspective, we collected about 7,000 from Hurricane Irene. This is an enormous amount of debris, branches, leaves, and if you go down to the recycling center, you can see the piles and piles of processed debris that we need to dispose of. Recycling is still suspended for this month, will resume next month, and now we're really moving from debris pickup into leaf pickup. Those two things also cannot be mixed, otherwise our public works folks have to actually hand sort them out, as we cannot dispose of our leaves that have branches or debris in them. I just want to remind all residents that at no point in time can private contractors or landscapers move anything to the curb. If they do clean it, they have to remove it from town themselves. Want to give a little update as far as the Office of Emergency Management. There's some very interesting lessons that I think we took from both these two past storms. One of them I find particularly interesting, maybe being a little bit of a nerd about emergency management and technology, but our reverse 911 system. It's a system that a lot of towns rely on to use during emergencies, where basically you place a robocall to every single house in town. And that's done through using something called an emergency subscriber list, or ESL, and that's a list of all available phone numbers that phone companies are required to provide governments for only emergency uses. Unfortunately, as technology has advanced and now people have fiber optic connections like Verizon Fios, the copper wires that used to support your phone lines that actually had power running through them no longer do. So those fiber optic connections need power to operate the phone lines. Whereas before, if you had an old phone that didn't have a digital display, you could still use your phone, you could likely still use your phone when the power is out. That no longer is the case for someone with a fiber optic connection. So municipalities are in a position where we have a system that we've relied upon for so many years, where you can basically be semi-guaranteed that you're reaching a very large number of households during a storm or power outage, and now we can't rely on that technology as much anymore. I think there are a couple steps that we can take to mitigate that. One, the biggest one, is people need to know about our alert system and they need to sign up for it. You go to southorange.org/alert, sign up, put your email address in and your cell phone number in. That will ensure that when text messages, emails, and phone calls go out, even if your power is out, you'll still get the information that you need. You can enter in all your family's email addresses when you sign up if you want. These notifications are not used very frequently. Again, of course, you can unsubscribe at any time, but it's really important that people sign up at southorange.org/alert and make sure that they are in the system. Another piece is that we need to figure out some communication strategies. So having, for example, neighborhood watch coordinators, neighborhood association directors, block captains, clergy members, anybody who's involved in the community and who is someone who residents contact when they need information, we need to make sure that they're on our calling and email list as well. We should put that together by hand and make sure that we're reaching out to those most connected people so that in the event a resident doesn't get a communication directly from us, maybe someone within 1 or 2 degrees has the right information and can pass that along. Had some very interesting discussions with some OEM folks down at the League of Municipalities about short distance radio transmissions and using AM radio to broadcast messages. There's some other really interesting things we can do there, but at the start, we really need to make sure people are signed up in our alert system to receive all of those messages. As far as our search for an administrator, we did on Monday night also approve a contract for Government Management Advisors, which is a company that's going to help us find the right administrator candidate. We have started advertising, we've received many resumes, and they're going to help us do the search and interview process, help us figure out what we want out of a candidate, and really make sure that we are looking at those things, asking the right questions, holding the right meetings. This is a fairly common practice, especially for such an important position. We're still accepting resumes right now, but we aim to be completed with this process hopefully by February and have a candidate in mind to get started. We're also putting together an RFP for the Valley and 3rd redevelopment site. That's pretty exciting as well. Looking at BIFAS, now South Orange Commons 3, which is coming online. They are before the planning board in the hearing phase right now, and hopefully can get them started as soon as possible as well. Getting both these sites developed is incredibly exciting, especially the old BIFAS site, which so many residents have seen vacant for too many years next to the train station. So we're excited about the progress that we hope to see there. Also, South Orange recently got its first grant from Sustainable Jersey, and we're going to put together actually an informative video and public relations piece about all the different environmental initiatives we're taking right now. You can see some of it in the progress of the Rahway River improvements. You can see some of it as a bike lane down on Meade Street. There's a lot of really exciting things we're working on, so we're going to try and work with our residents and volunteers to put together that information and show this community and people who live outside the community all of the really great green initiatives that we're working on. Now, something that I wanted to make sure to go into in a little more detail, as I think this is very important, is a resolution that we passed Monday night asking the BPU to help look at information management practices with PSE&G. Basically, throughout the storm, as many residents found themselves, that accurate and timely information was sometimes hard to get. Obviously, this is a disaster and a weather event that went beyond anyone's expectations of how many houses would be out and the damage that it would cause. We're still obviously cleaning up from that now, and that put a strain on local governments, county, state, and the utility companies more than anyone imagined. However, in any emergency management scenario, one of the most important pieces to a successful response is accurate and timely information. Even if the response is going to take a longer amount of time than people would like, having access to that information is really, really important. Now, as a municipal government, we play no formal or legal or statutory role regulating a utility company. That's done by the State Board of Public Utilities. PSE&G is a publicly traded, state-regulated utility company. That's really entirely outside the purview of a municipal government. However, we're the first point of contact for a lot of residents, and making sure that we have the right information that we can pass along to our community, and making sure that we're passing along the information from our residents is really important. We spent days and days and days, entire days of the week, just making sure that information about outages was getting to PSE&G. I mean, we're not always getting back the most accurate information in the most timely manner. So that was the spirit that we passed this resolution, that we want to make sure to work on this. We're not pointing fingers, but we're saying this is a system that needs improvement, and why not start now? We have tools online that would make some of this communication a lot easier. And what I'll do for you, you can get the entire resolution on our website. But what I'll do is I'll read our recommendations. I've also written a letter, and we're now in the process of sending this resolution and that letter out to other municipalities, asking them to support this as well by passing a resolution in their town councils and sending that onto the Board of Public Utilities. Obviously, strength in numbers helps. So our suggestions are as follows that we made in our resolution. Whereas the BPU should require utilities to provide authoritative, informed spokespeople to take complaints from customers and provide information in person in the municipal building of any municipality where more than 5% of the customers are without service for more than 1 day. And whereas the BPU should set standards for the web-based information utilities provide about outages in an effort to accommodate people with web access and an accurate status of progress made to restore power. And whereas the BPU and PSE&G should reevaluate and improve the process by which they collect, manage, and disseminate outage and other information during extreme weather conditions. Whereas the BPU should require utilities to issue pre-scheduled, twice-daily detailed reports to officials in municipalities experiencing service interruptions, which would include an update to previously reported status of restoration, as well as a schedule of intended repairs for a minimum at the next 12 hours. These are a couple suggestions that we thought would be most helpful for municipalities, supporting municipalities who are trying to help bring more information out, as we did during the storm. I hope this has been helpful in providing a little bit of an update as to a couple things that we're working on here in Village Hall. Obviously, there's a lot going on, far too much to summarize in any 12-minute video, or even in a couple hours worth of meetings in one night. If you have any questions, I really encourage you to stop on my office hours, which are every Tuesday from 3:30 to 5:30. You can drop me an email at atorpey@southorange.org, or you can find me on Facebook and Twitter, where I'm happy to answer your questions. And again, please don't hesitate to check out the full video of our meetings and also the minutes, the official record of our meetings, at our website at southorange.org. And please, please, as soon as this video is over, if you haven't done so already, please go to southorange.org/alert and sign up in our alert system and make sure that we can notify you during emergencies. Thank you, everyone. Have a happy and safe holiday, and I'll talk to you soon.